Welcome to the Wealth Wisdom, where knowledge becomes power and power builds your future.
Most people believe money begins its life the moment it shows up in their bank account, or when an ATM hands them a few crisp notes. They think money starts existing the moment they earn it. But the truth is far stranger and far more hidden. Money's real journey begins long before you ever touch it, deep inside places you've never seen, controlled by people you'll never meet, through systems you never had a say in. And by the time that money finally reaches your hands, it has already lived most of its life. Its story starts in a room you will never enter, a silent, carefully guarded room inside an institution that quietly influences the price of everything you own. Here, a handful of policymakers decide when the world should have more money, when it should have less, and how valuable your salary, your savings, even your time should be. Money doesn't begin with hard work, productivity, or value. Money begins the moment they say so, with a single authorization, a digital entry, a quiet policy shift. And just like that, your entire financial reality is born. Most people picture governments printing money, factories stamping coins, and giant machines running non-stop. But that's only the physical mask of a much larger creature. Modern money is created digitally almost instantly through decisions made inside central banks. Nothing physical is required. There's no gold bar sitting behind it, no material limit, just a number brought into existence with a keystroke. But the story gets even stranger. The money that central banks create is only a tiny slice of what actually flows through the world. The real expansion, the part that fills the economy with salaries, mortgages, business loans, and credit, happens somewhere else. It happens inside commercial banks. When a bank approves a loan, it doesn't reach into someone's savings account to pull the money out. It simply creates brand new money right there on the spot. Your mortgage, your business loan, your car financing, none of it comes from someone else's pocket. It's created out of nothing the moment the bank says yes. Debt isn't born from money. Money is born from debt. Once this newly created money enters the world, it begins the active part of its life. It moves through salaries, businesses, governments, and markets. People spend it, invest it, save it or lose it. Prices shift, decisions change. And beneath all this movement, there's an invisible force guiding everything. Interest rates push people to borrow or hold back. Government policies push markets higher or lower. International trade pushes currencies to rise or fall. The money flowing through your life is constantly responding to forces you can't see. Whenever central banks lower interest rates, money floods into the economy. Businesses borrow more. People spend more. Governments take on bigger projects. It feels like a wave of prosperity. Markets surge, assets inflate, and everything appears to be growing. But this growth isn't natural. It's engineered, artificial, and every time money expands too fast, it sets off the next stage in its hidden life cycle, the slow decay. This decay is something everyone feels, but only a few truly understand. You feel it when groceries cost more than they used to. You feel it when rent goes up. You feel it when your salary stays the same, but your bills quietly climb higher. This decay has a name: inflation. And inflation is not a mistake. It's not a glitch in the system. Inflation is the natural aging process of money. Every currency in history has lost value over time, and today's financial system is built on the expectation that it must continue. Without inflation, governments can't survive their massive debts. Banks can't profit the way they do, and the entire cycle collapses. Eventually, the decay reaches a breaking point. Prices explode. People tighten their belts. Savings lose power. Borrowing becomes painful. Markets shake. Governments panic. Central banks rush into emergency mode. And this is the moment the system reveals its weakness. Most people think financial crises happen out of nowhere. But in reality, crises are not surprises. They are built into the system. When money is created through debt and expanded endlessly, collapse is not a possibility, it's a mathematical certainty. And when collapse hits, someone has to pay, almost always. It's the public. Ordinary people watch their purchasing power shrink. Their savings evaporate. Their debts become heavier. Their salaries fall behind inflation. Meanwhile, institutions, corporations, and major investors quietly reposition themselves. Wealth doesn't disappear during a crisis, it changes owners. Crises act like giant wealth transfer machines. They reset the system while the public unknowingly foots the bill. After every collapse, governments and central banks bring out what they call solutions. Interest rate cuts, stimulus packages, emergency loans, subsidies, new regulations. But nearly all of these are temporary patches. They fix symptoms, not the underlying design. They calm the public while the system quietly reloads itself for the next expansion. Because as soon as the panic fades and markets stabilize, borrowing begins again. Money creation restarts, expansion returns, and inflation comes back even stronger. This cycle: creation, expansion, rise, decay, crisis, reset has repeated for generations. It happened after the Great Depression, after world wars, after energy shocks, after housing crashes, and after global pandemics. And today, the cycle is repeating again, but at a faster, more intense pace. Global debt is at its highest point in history. Household borrowing is skyrocketing. Inflation waves are hitting country after country. Housing is becoming unaffordable. Savings are melting. Banks are creating more money than economies can support, and governments are taking on future debt to pay for past debt. Your money now moves through the most fragile financial system of modern times. And instead of slowing down, the system is accelerating as the world becomes more digital. The life cycle of money becomes shorter, faster, and far more controlled. Digital currencies, centralized payment networks, instant taxation, and global monetary coordination are reshaping how money moves and how easily it can be restricted. The more digital money becomes, the more power institutions have over its creation, distribution, and lifespan, and the less control individuals have over their own financial futures. Yet despite all this complexity, the core rules haven't changed. Money is born from debt. It expands, it grows, it decays, it collapses, it resets, and the cycle begins again. Understanding this hidden cycle is no longer optional. If you don't understand how money is created and how it dies, you will always be on the losing end. The first truth is that the money in your hands is not really a symbol of value. It's a symbol of obligation. Someone's debt created it, someone's borrowing expanded it, and someone's repayment will eventually destroy it. Every currency note or digital balance has a story long before it arrives in your life. If you don't understand that story, you only see the final chapter, not the forces that shaped it. The second truth is that inflation isn't there to frustrate you. It's there to keep the system alive. As money expands, it must lose value. As prices rise, governments repay old debts with cheaper money. As your buying power falls, borrowing becomes necessary. Inflation keeps the economic engine running. Without it, the system would collapse under its own weight. The third truth is that crises are not failures. They are resets. They wipe out excess, shift wealth, and prepare the economy for a new expansion. Crises clear the board for the powerful and burden the powerless. That's why they keep happening. Predictably, repeatedly, almost rhythmically. So when money finally reaches your hands, whether it's your paycheck, your business income, or your savings, remember that you are holding the final product of a long, engineered process. A process shaped by decisions you didn't see, events you didn't control, and institutions you didn't choose. That money has already lived most of its life. Now it enters the last phase, your choices. How you use it will decide whether it continues growing, or whether it quietly dies in your pocket. The deeper truth is simple. You can't stop the system. You can't break the cycle, but you can learn to navigate it. You can learn to protect your value in a world designed to reduce it. You can learn to grow your purchasing power while everyone else watches theirs evaporate. Awareness is your first line of defense. Knowledge is your strongest investment. If this opened your eyes to the hidden life of money and the forces shaping your financial reality, stay connected to this channel. Every week, we uncover what is really happening behind the scenes so you can stay ahead of the next cycle, instead of becoming another victim of it. Subscribe, stay informed, and take control. Because in a world built on financial illusions, understanding is your greatest advantage.